I've done some damage. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Ebony, and I have a nice little haul of some books that I've collected over several months. I have poetry, I have some modern classics, some books on art or the pleasures of reading and writing, as well as some new releases and contemporary literary fiction. So let's just dive right in. I'll begin with the book that I'm very, very excited about, and this is Francisco by Alison Newman. I did read the introduction to this book, and basically it follows a woman. It's her diary entries, a black woman in the 70s, and she is in love with this man named Francisco. Just to give you the blurb from the back, written in her early 20s in a fluently funky mix of standard and non-standard English, Newman tells the vibrant story of a young black woman's love affair with an indie filmmaker, Francisco. Described as a portrait of the artist as a young black woman trying to find a way back to herself, Francisco unfolds like an on-the-road diary of a young actress and musician as she becomes increasingly disillusioned with success in Hollywood. I thought this was fun because it is basically set in the black arts scene and movement in LA, and I was like, this is everything that I want to read in a book. Like, it sounds as if it is Eve Babbitt's, but like a black woman main character in her own love affair and just kind of being wild and free. And then in the foreword, basically this book can be used to analyze the ways in which black women are muses for art, like for black art, and I'm so intrigued. Like I said, started reading the foreword. I just wasn't really in the mood for like a fragmentary style story, but absolutely loved the analysis, and I cannot wait. Everyone needs to read this. It sounds like the perfect summer read too, to be honest. So if you're looking for something to dip in this summer that can be fun and kind of messy, but also deals with like art and being a muse and just living your life. So yeah, I had to purchase this. I actually saw this book on Instagram. I believe it is a creator that I follow, so I'll insert their post here, and their post is what made me want to purchase this book. Of course, I had to pick up some Clarice Lispector, and this is Agua, Viva. I have been wanting to read An Apprenticeship forever by lispector, but I don't know, I'm just not drawn to that. However, I did see this. It's a tiny book. We love tiny books, clearly. That's going to be a theme. I love a quick short read, and I really think this is like a total tangent, but I think I love short books because there's just something so powerful to me about the precision of language and really conveying an entire story in a short amount of pages. I think it just speaks to like the poetry side of me that is big on technicality and precision. So anyway, that's a separate tangent. So in Agua Viva, Clarice Lispector aims to capture the present, her direct confessional and unfiltered meditations on everything from life and time to perfume and sleep are strange and hypnotic in their emotional power, and have been a huge influence on many artists and writers, including one Brazilian musician who read it 111 times. Despite its apparent spontaneity, this is a masterly work of art which rearranges language and plays in the gaps between reality and fiction. Like, are you kidding? This is me in a book. I contemplate time and language and reality and fiction. I'm super excited to read this. Very, very short. And I have to mention, I got this book at the thrift store for literally $2. This next book I'm going to mention, and I'm so excited. It felt like serendipity because this book has been on my TBR forever, literally forever, and that is The God of Small Things. I have never read this. I feel like this is going to be one of my favorite books of all time. It looks like me from the cover, and then also the contents and the story really, really appeal to me. So on the back, some blurbs offer such magic, mystery, and sadness that literally this reader turned the last page and decided to reread it immediately. It's that hauntingly wonderful. So another book that I have wanted to read forever, and that was on sale at Barnes & Noble when I went in, is Written on the Body, and this is by Jeanette Winterson. I just feel as though this book will really speak to like art and creativity and the body, that's one of my own musings, is like our physical bodies and the ways in which we express creativity or harbor life in our bodies. Like our bodies act literally as a vessel for our own lives, but then hold on to the memories that we experience. Anyways, this is a tangent. The narrator of Written on the Body has neither name nor gender. The beloved is a married woman, and as Winterson chronicles their consuming affair, she compels us to see love stripped of cliches and categories, as a phenomenon as visceral as blood and organs, bone and tissue, and as strange as an undiscovered continent. I hope you're recognizing a theme here on the types of books I like to read and the mood I'm in. But yes, Written on the Body. And then I also got Thirst for Love, which I never saw anything about, but these two were like buy one get one 50% off, and I read the back of this and it seemed pretty interesting to me. This is by Yukio Mishima. In Thirst for Love, Japan's greatest modern writer created a portrait of sexual torment and corrosive jealousy that is as delicately nuanced as Madame Bovary and as remorseless as Justine. So the young widow moves into the household of her father-in-law, where she numbly submits to the old man's advances. Like I said, don't really know much about it, but I was intrigued by the cover, and I think what really got me is it said extremely poetic and affecting. Mishima's writing is simple but sensitive. I love poetic, I love effective, I love simple, and I love sensitive. So it's everything. Everything that I could hope. Hopefully. We'll see. Okay, so I'll keep along the same vein of like books on art and creativity. I also picked up Ways of Seeing by John Berger, and this is just basically a book of photography, but it goes in to describe seeing the world through art and how we can interpret our experience and I guess transcribe that into a medium or creative outlet. Seeing comes before words. The child looks and recognizes before it can speak. But there is also another sense in which seeing comes before words. It is seeing which establishes our place in the surrounding world. We explain that world with words, but words can never undo the fact that we are surrounded by it. The relation between what we see and what we know is never settled. Before we get into some like contemporary literary fiction, I guess I'll interject with some poetry I purchased recently, and I only got 3 collections. The first one, which I think I mentioned before on my channel, is What to Eat, What to Drink, What to Leave for Poison, and this is by Camille T. Dungy. This was recommended to me honestly by someone who commented on my TikTok, and which if you don't follow me you should. But someone recommended this to me on my TikTok, and they basically said if I like Mary Oliver, I would really, really like this. In the title sequence of What to Eat, What to Drink, What to Leave for Poison, Camille Dungy invites her readers to taste what the world has to offer. It is a tall order, and the author herself leads by example and fulfills it marvelously, offering a stunning first collection that is both sweet with the richness of life and laced with the bitterness of knowledge. Through lyrics, portraits, narratives, and monologues, she explores the intricate relationship between her own family and the human family, personal history, and American history, the human world, and the ways humans have treated the earth. What to Eat, What to Drink, What to Leave for Poison is a work of sweep, breath, and abundance. A major and magnificent book. Also, just the title alone, I'm obsessed. What to Eat, What to Drink, What to Leave for Poison. That is in and of itself a poem almost, I feel. Another book that I have been seeing floating around a lot on the internet is The World Keeps Ending and the World Goes On, and this is by Franny Choi. And within the flap it says, many have called our time dystopian, but the world keeps ending and the world goes on reminds us that apocalypse has already come in myriad ways for marginalized peoples. With lyric and tonal dexterity, these poems spin backward and forward in time, from Korean comfort women during World War II to the precipice of climate crisis to children wandering a museum in the future. It's bringing together Choi's signature speculative imagination with even greater musicality than her previous work. The World Keeps Ending and the World Goes On ultimately charts new paths toward hope. And honestly, with all the smoke we've been getting from the fires burning in Canada, to climate change, to what can sometimes feel like the end of the world happening in both microscopic and macroscopic levels. I'm very excited for this poetry collection. I've actually really been looking forward to reading this. So, and then I was also gifted Let Us Believe in the Beginning of the Cold Season by farrokhzad. And honestly, I feel like I mentioned this on my channel before. I have started reading this, but really kind of dipping in and out of it. As blurbs on the back, it says joy, rage, despair, transcendence. Farrokhzad's poems, like the life from which they were often drawn, contain multitudes. Each poem is tightly conceived and elegantly modulated, the language precise, the voice is fresh and vivid as Farrokhzad's own. A vital contribution to Farrokhzad's legacy. Okay, so we'll go into some... Actually, let me mention a short story collection that I accidentally purchased. I think my phone was just open in my Kindle app or on Amazon, and I accidentally bought this, but I've been wanting it, so it's okay. So this is Danielle Evans' Before You Suffocate Your Own Fool Self, and I have really wanted to read this short story collection forever. Ever since I read Heads of the Colored People by Nafisa Thompson Spires, which is honestly one of my favorite books. Once I finished that, this book was recommended to me by, you know, the algorithms that pop up once you have enjoyed a book. And I don't know much about it, but I've wanted to read it forever. And like I said, I guess the universe wants me to read it now too, because I accidentally purchased it. I don't even know how that happened, but I'm taking it. I saw the transaction in my bank account and I was like, what is this? Is this fraud? But then I saw that it was Kindle and that it was a book I wanted. So I was like, hey, this is kind of weird, but I'm accepting it. And I also purchased Vladimir by Julia May Jones. This book was very popular. I believe it was released last year, and I can give you a synopsis of this because I have read it, but I'll give a full review later on because this one got my brain going and I really like certain aspects of it. So this follows an unnamed woman narrator who is a white woman. She is a professor, and her husband has recently been accused by several of his students of having like inappropriate relationships. So this novel discusses power dynamics a lot, specifically in academia. It is a campus novel, but from the perspective of, like I'm saying, from a woman, from a professor, and more specifically a professor who is married to a man who has like all these sexual assault or like inappropriate relationships brought up against him. He's facing like a trial, and it's a very big thing. But the novel is called Vladimir because this unnamed woman narrator becomes obsessed with a new adjunct professor, or no, not adjunct, he's a new professor who is on his way or hoping to gain tenure, who's recently had a novel that made a splash in the literary scene, and his name is Vladimir. So it's like her growing obsession with him. A lot of it is in her mind. It was just a very interesting book, and I think it explores power dynamics in a very particular way that I will talk more in depth about going forward. But honestly, when I first saw this book, I was on the fence because it had this cover, and I was like, I don't know if this is it for me. Sorry, I judge books by the cover. But I read the back when I was in Barnes & Noble, and I got Written on the Body and Thirst for Love, and I was like, this sounds like what I want to read right now. And it totally was. And then next, I had Book of the Month credits. Don't ask how. I keep skipping. I really like Book of the Month, but I find that sometimes I'm more inclined to use the credit or to use the membership only during certain months or with certain releases. But I did select Maame, and this is by Jessica George. And it says, it's fair to say that Maddie's life in London is far from rewarding. With a mother who spends most of her time in Ghana, Maddie is the primary caretaker for her father who suffers from advanced stage Parkinson's. At work, her boss is a nightmare, and Maddie is tired of always being the only black person in every meeting. Funny and deeply affecting, Maame deals with the themes of our time with humor and poignancy, from familial duty and racism to female pleasure, the complexity of love, and the life-saving power of friendship. Most important, it explores what it feels like to be torn between two homes and cultures, and it celebrates finally being able to find where you belong. So, like I said, I believe she's in her 20s, maame, and this book just sounds like a coming-of-age, endearing, kind of questioning or discovering what home is and finding or making a place for yourself in the world. So, got maame from Book of the Month. Now, a book that I've had the audiobook for literally forever is Tomorrow and Tomorrow Tomorrow by Gabrielle, Zevin. This book follows two video game creators as they meet each other in childhood and basically fall in and out, or like their relationship fluctuates throughout their lives. I did begin reading this on audiobook, but I'm having a weird thing with audiobooks right now. I haven't totally been in the vibe or as inclined to listen to audiobooks as opposed to just physically reading. So I wanted to get this so I can listen to the audiobook as well as read it. And like I said, I had the credits already and nothing else from Book of the Month at the time was speaking to me, so I just got this. You know it, you've seen it, most people have loved it if they've read it, so I'm excited to continue on with the story. But like I said, another campus novel, exploring creativity, friendship throughout the years. Just sounds like a very like slice of life novel. Okay, and last but not least, I got The Collected Regrets of Clover, and this is by Mikki, Brammer. What's the point of giving someone a beautiful death if you can't give yourself a beautiful life? From the day she watched her kindergarten teacher drop dead during a dramatic telling of Peter Rabbit, Clover Brooks has felt a stronger connection with the dying than she has with the living. After the beloved grandfather who raised her dies alone while she is traveling, Clover becomes a death doula in New York City, dedicating her life to ushering people peacefully through their end-of-life process. Probing, clever, and hopeful, The Collected Regrets of Clover turns the normally taboo subject of death into a reason to celebrate life. I also heard this has only child representation, and as a part of the only child crew, I very rarely read books that are centered or from the perspective of an only child, so I'm excited. A lot of the times it's sibling or, you know the vibe, but I'm excited for this. Sounds like it might send me into an existential crisis, I'm not gonna lie, but it sounds hopeful, which we love. Yeah, guys, those are all my books. Please let me know if you have read any of these, what you have thought of them, if you're gonna pick any of them up. I have literally my reading for the entire year right here, and I look forward to updating you guys, so make sure you're subscribed to stay up to date on my thoughts, especially for Vladimir, which is coming soon, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!